Hey guys, and welcome to Just for the Record. I'm glad you made it here. Today I'm going to start a new series, and this series is called MML, Monthly's Most Listened, a video that'll come out monthly, obviously, where I'm going to talk about 5 records that I've listened the most to in this particular month, in this occasion, February. So, without further ado, because I'm going to talk a little about each album, here we go. They aren't ranked in some kind of way, it's just 5 records. Supertramp's Crime of the Century. This has been a Supertramp heavy month for me and my girlfriend, I suppose, and Crime of the Century has been the most listened to. We've maybe overplayed Breakfast in America a little, so it'll take us a few months until we get back to this record and we'll enjoy it even more, even though it's obviously an amazing album and Breakfast in America is one of my all-time favorites. But Crime of the Century, I mean, School alone is definitely worth listening to this record, and I've said it plenty of times and I'm going to say it again. Supertramp really is something special. I have never, ever encountered a band that sounds like Supertramp. And every record sounds different. There aren't many bands that I would give this credit to, because some of them are, or some even classic rock bands obviously are, I wouldn't say interchangeable, but they feature similarities to other rock bands. Supertramp, holy shit, no, clarinets and all different instruments used in classic rock, and they became one of the biggest bands of their time. My dad actually saw them live, and we wanted to see Roger Hodgson live in Hamburg, but the concert obviously got cancelled because of Corona. Well, what a pity. But we'll definitely do that in the future. This, by the way, is a original German copy, and it is the copy that my dad bought when it came out, which is nice as well, because some of the records that my parents gave me look very, very bad, because they took them to parties and they played them there. But this one, actually, I think it's got the original sleeve in here as well. It does. But this one is in a very, very good condition. I've actually made a big scratch in it by myself because I was an idiot. It was the first record that I ever spun, I think. And I had no clue how to use my record player correctly, so I pushed the needle over it. So there is a nice little scratch on it. I think you don't really hear it unless you know it's there, which I obviously do. But yeah, that's just a little story by me. It happens to everybody, and it has, like, literally, it has happened to anybody. Or at least something like that has happened to anybody. Okay, this is the first one. The next one is an acoustic EP, which is Burst and Decay 1 by The Wonder Years. Number 2 is already released. The Wonder Years, well, no, I should start this differently. I have my problems with pop punk. There are some pop punk bands that I enjoy, but mostly I think the music is a little bleak. I can see why you like it. It's full of energy, and actually my best friend is in a pop punk band, and their music is nice, like, no doubt about that. And I like Blink-182, and I like the Interrupters. Are they pop punk? I'm not entirely sure if you could say that. But the Wonder Years definitely are pop punk, even though they've got a little bit more mature. I don't know. This obviously, they've been playing their own songs in acoustic. That's the Burst and Decay series, like the second record is already released. But this is the first one. I can show it to you. It's actually in a nice white vinyl. Another fun story. This was the first EP I ever bought, and I had no clue that EPs would just work on 45 RPM. So I tried, and I tried, and I tried, and I thought I was doing something wrong, but I obviously didn't. And I think it was my girlfriend who said, you know what, maybe you should change the speed, because it sounds so low-key. That's what we did. And the listening experience enhanced instantly. I've seen the Wonder Years live in Hamburg, in a small club with around 200 or 300 people, which was great. Actually was the first concert that my sister went to. I took her there, and my girlfriend as well. Very, very good. It was, I don't know, it was the beginning, I think January of 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but I've got a soft spot for the Wonder Years, especially their newest record, Sister Cities. It's really, 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 really good. The third one in the list. To get this out of the way, this is one of the most frequently spun records that I own. So I could place this on about every month's list. This is the reason why I put it on the first one. Actually, there is no Pink Floyd on here. That's a shame, isn't it? Well, next time, presumably. Darkness on the Edge of Town by Bruce Springsteen. And everybody has difficult times in their lives, just as plain as it gets. They get over. You know, they'll stop and it'll get better. The light will brighten up and everything is going to be fine. For my example, I think I don't know if this video is released now, but I've recorded it already, where I talk about records that changed my life. My father is in a little bit of a bad state. Not horribly bad, but it stood in a room that he maybe had dementia, and that is not great, like, for me. And I was actually just plainly sad. Like, I couldn't really concentrate and was just a little down. And this record, and especially a few tracks on it, really captured this feeling. And I know this sounds very, very cheesy, but if you find music that does that and that makes you, or it tells you that you're not alone with the feeling, is nice. It's just a little bit of comfort. So I listen to, like, Racing in the Streets, for example, in my car over and over again. Like, there are other songs that I often put on, but at the end it helped. Like, I would say that, but no worries, I'm fine. I'm fine, no worries. But the entire record is very, very great. After this triumphant Born to Run came out, he was in a legal battle with his management, like Bruce, obviously, not me, has been in a legal battle with his management, and he couldn't record, and all of that was frustrating, obviously. He got to witness what fame really is, and after all of that, he released Darkness on the Edge of Town when he could record. And just compare the covers. I mean, we do have Born to Run here. We've got a smiling Bruce Springsteen leaning on the shoulders of Clarence Clemens, the big man himself. And the next record, it is Bruce Springsteen just staring next to the camera with no emotions in his face. And there are amazing songs on it. Like Adam Raised the Cane, for example, is presumably the hardest sound that Bruce has ever released. And the follow-up records, like The River and Nebraska, are my all-time favorites of Bruce Springsteen, including this one. He's just had an amazing run of albums since Born to Run until The River and Nebraska. Ridiculously good. Yeah, well, let's carry on. The second last, Gorillaz, Demon Days. This is a new purchase, like the next one that we're coming up to. So obviously I'm going to listening to that a little bit more. But why do I like the Gorillaz Demon Days? It actually, I mean, it does fit in my music taste. I had times where I've been a big fan of hip-hop, and I definitely do want to get many, many more hip-hop albums, like really important hip-hop albums, like The Blueprint, 36 Chambers, How to Pimp a Butterfly. And even though I'm not a fan of the persona of Kanye West himself, maybe I should give a listen to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which I haven't listened to now. But maybe there are some kind of experts in the comment section that are going to tell me which special record I should listen to, like Ready to Die or something like that. You will know better than I will. The Gorillaz, obviously, it is a mix between pop rock, a little bit of progressive elements, and hip-hop, obviously. And that's great. Like, the record is really, 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 really good. Feel Good Inc. has been running in my car all day long before we got this. We ordered it actually online. Yeah, it is a concept album. And it describes, I think Mr. Alban said this once, it describes the journey through a night with Sunshine Awakening on the last two songs. And he was tackling his inner demons, and you can really see that. Like Feel Good Inc., for example, is a song about the digitalization of the world back in the days. This is a 2004 record, so obviously all of that just got big. It was before Facebook and all of that, at least before Facebook got big. So all of that was new, and all of that was scary. I mean, the industrialization has been the thing 100 years before, or nearly 100 years before, that really shifted the way the world worked. And now the digitalization did the exact same thing. Everything got different. Read the lyrics and you'll understand what I mean. I mean, I think the best thing is with your sound you kill the ink. They're going to tell you that they don't really like this fabricated happiness. Yeah, Demon Days. One of the records that I usually more or less listen to when I'm alone. Even though my girlfriend actually very much likes the Gorillaz, but this album is a little of an overload, I think. Even though it's still a very, very good record. And it's, I think, still, or maybe, I mean, Plastic Beaches is really, really good. Like, it's literally just hands down a very good record. But my favorite should be Demon Days. But that's just me. And number one, and yeah, who would have seen this one coming? Moving Pictures, Rush. One of the best progressive rock albums of all time. The best progressive rock album out of the 80s. I've said it. I love 2112, and maybe 2112 can outweigh this album, in my opinion, when we're talking about Rush records. But the sheer pop quality, and I mean this in the best way possible, this record presents is just amazing. I've said it plenty of times, Vital Signs is one of my all-time favorite songs by Rush, and so is Tom Sawyer. But Vital Signs really has a special place in my heart. I think it's the last song on the entire record. It is written by all three, Geddy Lee, Mr. Lifeson, and Mr. Peart. The record obviously features the drumming of the late great Neil Peart. And this is the first Rush record that I got to own, because the time that I thought about buying records by Rush, I mean, I obviously knew them for quite a long time, but the time that I got around and thought like, yeah, you know what, you need Rush records, you want to listen to Rush on a good system, was around the time that Neil Peart died last year. So they were sold out everywhere. You couldn't get a single record by Rush, not a new one, and all of the record stores in Hamburg, obviously they had like a portion where Rush records should be, but there were none. So I had to live with that and had to stream it further on. But now I found this thing on eBay, which is nice, something like Craigslist if you don't know. And I bought it for, I think, 20 euros, which is a fair price. Actually, it's more than a fair price. Yeah, I like progressive rock, as easy as it gets. And if we are talking about progressive rock, there is no way around Rush and Yes. We're going to get to Yes. I'm going to get much more Yes LPs, because I really want to get into Yes. I never really got into them, but like, they have very, 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 very iconic records. And maybe we'll talk about them together. So this has been my picks for my 5 monthly most listened records. I hope you like the format, and it's going to come up the next month. It'll presumably pop up in the first few days of the new month. Depends on my upload schedule, obviously. There should be a new video around every 3 days at the moment. Maybe we'll shift that to 2 fixed days per week, but if that happens, I'm going to tell you. All right, it has been a pleasure to have you here, guys. I'm very, very glad you stuck through that, and I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your experiences and what you think about those 5 records in the comments, and I'm looking forward to that. Have a nice day. Bye.